But so basically it's possible, but then the question is, of course, if you cannot hear, can you still work? Like, for example, if you're an accountant, you don't need to hear anything. You can do it.
In Japan, we don't have system. If you're losing eyesight, just
So we have that kind of system.
My question is, I just have to die. Okay.
So basically, then you will become poor if you lose your capacity to work. That basically, ultimately, you will have to move out of your house and become homeless, what have you.
In Japan, we have two systems. One is unemployment
Benefit.
and the second is single mother family. Single mother family, they have some benefit.
There is no support for people who cannot find a job, for example, mentally handicapped or things like that. There's nothing.
No, we don't think so. Just they give me some identification free for railways. That's all. No, they don't get pay money for them. Do we?
I don't know.
I'm a handicapped person. They get money. Maybe the school need to study. Okay, let's move on.
Yes.
Can I just share information about the consumption tax in Japan? Out of our national taxation budget income, consumption tax is about 39.2% of the whole tax.
Oh,
in Japan
that's a lot.
now, according to
32%
Almost 40%.
tax
39.2%.
of consumption tax?
Yeah.
Really?
But that's a lot.
That's a lot. We need to increase.
Yeah, I'm checking the Ministry of Finance Japan, so it should be.
Immediately, we need to increase tax.
I didn't know this is
Okay.
that much, 39.2%.
And
Out of all like consumption tax, like including all kinds of alcohol tax and tobacco.
including tobacco, everything.
Yeah, everything.
Oh, okay.
If it's only like consumption tax purely, 28.1%.
What? Only simple consumption, 18%, you said?
Oh, is it? I'm looking at the Japanese website. Here's the national budget, right?
Okay. Well, Uno-san, sorry, because you may have seen some videos on Monday already that I'm going to show for today's disengagement session.
This is hard time, right?
Yeah. But now I really want to I really want to finish it and try to have a conversation about disengagement. I think disengagement is a very important trend in Western societies, in wealthy societies, and it means actually loss of solidarity within the society, a lot of less cohesion. Certain people are checking out of the system. And it seems like there are more and more people and groups that are checking out of society. So today we will discuss disengagement. This video is I think it's very important. I would like to show it therefore again. But it's very important because I think it's critical to understand why people actually form societies, and also if we don't understand that, it's very difficult to understand why we are seeing this kind of disengagement, because basically it's not happening here. So quickly, 5 minutes, please bear with me.
Okay.矢野さん来ないね。
一応メール入れたんですけど。
メール来た。まあ、なんか勘違いしてさ、申し込んだだけかもしれない。
うちの SD に足切ったとか別に言われたよ。なんか障害者。
Durkheim is sometimes seen as a sociologist whose ideas are similar to the core ideas of the conservative ideology. For example, his concepts of social cohesion, social regulation, social consciousness, the role of the church, or the functions of marriage. But Durkheim cannot be pigeonholed that easily. In his first major study, published in 1893, on the division of social labor, de la division du travail social, a title, by the way, that reminds us of Mondeville and of Adam Smith, he presents an argument that is directed against the complaints of conservative and even romantic admirers of traditional societies. Durkheim says that in the societies of the past, everybody resembled everybody. People were similar, and the similarity was, as it were, the social cement. Think of a medieval small city where everybody shares the same religion, where people are not yet highly specialized, they are not yet working in very different branches of the economic world, because the division of labor is still in a very early stage. In such societies, he says, we see that they are glued together by mechanical solidarity. The individuals that constitute such a society are pretty identical, like the cogs in a large machine. Now, conservatives complain that in modern societies, that kind of cement is crumbling to pieces. And in a way, Durkheim agrees. But it doesn't alarm him, because he says a new type of solidarity is now taking shape in front of our own eyes. Yes, it's true. People in modern cities are not very similar anymore. They believe in different gods. They have jobs that are so different that one craftsman doesn't have the slightest idea of what the other craftsman does. All of that is true, but it shouldn't lead us to believe that those people show a lower degree of solidarity. On the contrary, now they are bound together by a different kind of ties. The more people differ from one another, the more they need one another, the more they are dependent upon one another. The differentiation and the specialization between jobs, for example, professions, social functions, has reached such a high level that human beings and groups of human beings have become extremely interdependent now. They need one another. They cannot survive without each other. This is clearly not the old type of interdependence through similarity. It is more the opposite. It is interdependence through dissimilarity. Heterogeneity breeds interdependence. And this is the social glue that Durkheim calls organic solidarity. In the great tradition of the organicist sociological thinkers like Herbert Spencer, Durkheim compares here societies with biological entities, with living bodies. In primitive organisms, the body parts may be very similar, but in the higher organisms, the organs have differentiated to such a degree that the body as a whole cannot survive unless those interdependent organs work together in a perfect fashion. We cannot think, we cannot have consciousness. You cannot understand this lecture without the oxygen that the heart pumps through the stream of blood from the lungs into the brain.
Okay. So what he's saying here is that society and the way that society works together, there is a so-called mechanical solidarity. The members of this society, especially in traditional societies, for example, agricultural societies, they have solidarity because they are so similar. They believe the same things. They believe in the same gods. They do the same work. They went to the same school. They come from the same area. They understand each other. They share the same cultural values. And this kind of similarity creates cohesion, that creates glue, that combines these people together. But what happens in modern society is that basically all these functions, that we are no longer with only farmers. We have a group of farmers, but we have a group of laborers who work in factories. We have bankers. We have teachers, and these are different groups. But what Durkheim says is that basically we need these groups. Without the factory workers, without the teachers, society in itself doesn't work. So actually, this kind of society creates new solidarity, where basically people from one group are very much dependent on people from other groups. So this is the so-called mechanical solidarity, solidarity based on similarity, and this is solidarity based on dissimilarity. People are different, but we need each other, and therefore we still have this kind of glue based on a different tradition. But then today we live in a world that has multiple societies, where we could basically say, well, we don't need these factory workers anymore because we have the possibility to go to a different society. This is not what's in this video, but that's basically the message of my presentation today, is what happens if we live in an open world and we are no longer depending on the factory workers in our own country. We can outsource production to a different country. What happens with this group? What happens with the glue between these groups and this group? And how does that lead perhaps to disengagement? So if we're talking about glue, what kind of glue are we talking about? One part of glue that creates solidarity within society are, for example, the churches. The churches are very powerful in binding people together. In Western society, in the Netherlands, especially in the 1950s, people came together every Sunday to pray, and they met each other after church. They had a drink together, so that formed a very strong glue. They believed, they had the same belief system. Mosques have the same function in society. For Muslims, they also they form a very strong binding factor. But what happened to the churches? What we see in Western society is, and we saw that when we did the session on religion, we saw that there is a very strong trend of secularization. That means that people are leaving church. In Europe, if we compare today's attendance of churches relative to the 1960s, then there's less than 20% of the people is still attending church. So people are moving out of the church, and they are much less glued together through church. On the other hand, we see that immigrants, and especially second generation immigrants, are very much clinging to the mosques.
Why Europe's secularization proceed?
Why?
Yeah, why?
I think because the reason is that, and that's actually this snippet of a video, because people in trouble, they are looking for answers, they are looking for direction, they're looking to something that is bigger than themselves, that gives meaning to life. But people who do not have these questions, people who are wealthy, who have a good life, who live prosperously, they are not necessarily looking for answers because everything around them is in harmony with where they want to be. So faith becomes less important. You don't need faith to live happily. But people who are in difficult circumstances, like for example, if a war breaks out, you immediately see the attendance of churches to increase dramatically, because people think, oh, I need support. I need something bigger than myself to believe in. I need to, everything needs to make sense, and I need to believe that everything will be okay. So people are looking for faith to help them. And this is also one of the reasons I believe that mosques, for example, gain popularity, because of the situation of immigrants in Western society is difficult. They have more unemployment, higher crime statistics, they have more difficulty finding their way into Western society. So we see more people looking for faith within the groups that are having a hard time. So faith is basically something that people start to look for in difficult circumstances. Another glue are experiences, shared experiences, culture as a society, the things we learn in school about our history, the shared belief systems that we have of who we are and where we come from. That binds people together. If I meet somebody from the Netherlands in Japan, it immediately creates some kind of recognition of where we come from and who we are, because we speak the same language, we share the same culture, even the painters, the history, our colonial history, our personal history, our position in the Netherlands, it all makes sense, and it's much easier to connect with these people. So culture as a society for groups is a glue, but we should not confuse culture as being something that is shared by everybody, because culture exists on many different levels. We have national culture, but we also have group culture. For example, workers in factories share a different culture than the people who own the factories. So there are friends who have different cultures. So culture is not a homogeneous thing. It depends on which level you zoom in. So culture in itself is a glue, but it could also glue different groups on different levels together.
Are you talking about organic solidarity?
I'm talking about organic solidarity here, yes. So organic solidarity is the national culture, but the reality is that we live, especially in the Western world, we live more in no, I'm talking about mechanical solidarity here, sorry, but the reality is that we live more in a society that is specialized, where different groups live in different parts, and the glue of culture is more stronger focused on these groups than on society as a whole.
My question is, church is mechanical solidarity?
Yes, because actually church is, at least was, in Dutch society, was something that was not related to how much money you made or where you lived. Churches were everywhere, and it doesn't matter who you are, as long as you subscribe to the same church. That forms a form of mechanical solidarity.
Well, my question is, this is many people going to church, but their culture or their business or their background is different.
It's different. So that is like, church is basically a form of mechanical solidarity. This is something that a shared value that is part of our society. But now church has become marginalized, right? So the church has become smaller and smaller. So it is almost becoming a kind of subculture, because most people have checked out to churches. The only thing that we have, the rule of the church is the way that we raise up our children, because the church is also a court, the way that we is part of our culture. Like, for example, Dutch food culture. We have a very well.
No, a simple question is, this is my third time I listened to the video, and a little bit confusing, because the church is many different kind of people get together, right?
Yes.
Just one commonality is religion.
Yes.
But any kind of background different. But
True.
why you just said this is one aspect mechanical solidarity, but the other aspect organic solidarity,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
So even though you are talking about shared experience, university alumni, but this is okay. You just commonality is mechanical solidarity as alumni, but those people are different people.
Well,
solidarity.
Today we have the church, but we also have mosques. And if we look at the number of people who are actually attending church or mosque, then we see that mosques are now exceeding churches. So there are more people going to the mosque than are going to church on Sunday.
Yeah, mosque is immigrant going there, but
So it's serving as.
Some people is farmer, some people business person, some people teacher.
But we have multiple dimensions. People are not only divided by, for example, their income. We have professional backgrounds. So on a spiritual level, we have glue, what brings people together. But it also serves as a division between us, the church, and them, the mosques. So it creates also a kind of division within society.
No, go ahead.
Like what you said is like for if we think about religion, it's not only, especially for Christianity, there are a lot of people from different backgrounds. So you're saying that it should be like a mixture of organic and mechanical.
No, this is not mechanical solidarity.
But I think the major difference between mechanical and organic solidarity is what it's based. For example, for mechanical solidarity, it says it values more towards similarity.
Yeah, this is
But
my
the other
question.
hand-
My question. Okay, simple question. What is mechanical solidarity?
Oh, that is.
Because this is 3 times this is presented, but now I just skeptical for mechanical solidarity. What is this?
No, mechanical solidarity is similarity.
Yeah, what is this?
So basically, we feel close to each other because we are similar. Because we have a similar background. We believe in the same God. We read the same Bible. We go to the same church. That is mechanical solidarity.
But this is this side of the mechanical solidarity, but the other side is organic solidarity.
Yes, it's solidarity that I have with the teachers. I want the teachers not to starve, for example, because I need them to teach my children. Even though I'm not a teacher, even though I'm a truck driver, but I need teachers to teach my child. So I cannot afford to alienate myself from teachers because I need teachers. So I have solidarity with the teachers because I need them. I have solidarity with the tram conductor because I need to ride the tram in the morning to get to work. I have solidarity with the bankers because I need money to buy a house. Even though I'm not a banker, even though I'm not a tram driver, even though they are different from me, they have different.
Okay. For example, truck drivers union association, teachers association. This is, he said, mechanical solidarity. It means mechanical solidarity and versus organic solidarity. They have diverse value. Solidarity we have. Some cases, okay, teachers association. But each teacher association, his background is school teachers or some other English teachers or some kind of teachers combined. Maybe this is organic solidarity. Is it?
So organic solidarity.
Christianity people is Christianity, mechanical solidarity is Christianity, but only the coming on Sunday morning.
A form of organic solidarity is the. For example, a couple of months ago we had this series on the Islam. They had a shared lunch in the area where people from different groups came together and had prepared food and had lunch together. That is a form of organic solidarity because people feel that maybe they are not the same, they have different backgrounds, but they do not meet eye to eye. So they create these kinds of events to create organic solidarity, to try to understand each other closer. They understand that they have to live together, and therefore they need to they need to have some kind of solidarity with these people. They cannot simply ignore them and say, okay, well, they are there, they just do their thing. So they need to...
In this case, this lunch is just only the objective is some kind of a charity lunch event or something?
It's not charity. No. It's of course there is charity. Always comes with some kind of benefit to the person who's giving it. It's not just pure altruism.
What is that lunch?
The lunch is to make better understanding between these groups, because you are living in the same city, you're sharing the same facilities.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. The same city, this mechanical solidarity.
No. I think it's basically it is
I'm talking
organic
about,
solidarity.
Listen. What I'm talking about. This is they should have some objective to get together. Okay, you live in this city, so you try to do better, better lifestyle, or going to share some library, some healthcare, something like that, exchange, something like that, and they get together. This is the one aspect is mechanical solidarity. But what you say is, this is many people get together. Okay, the teachers, the business people, whatever, truck driver, whatever get together. This is organic solidarity. I understand. But this is the other aspect. This is pure mechanical solidarity. You live in this town. Right?
On a different level. So it's the same. You live in this town, so that is a form. Okay, we as a town, we have mechanical solidarity because we live in this town. We need to do this together. But we can not survive if we simply ignore each other. If we don't feel any.
Okay. Now is moving to the next question. Why do you compare with mechanical solidarity and organic solidarity? This is the second question. Why you are talking about glue?
Why I'm talking about glue? Because I think that what we are seeing in Western society is that the glue in Western society is getting weaker and weaker. I'm talking about the change from mechanical solidarity, where, for example, I believe that we still have a lot of mechanical solidarity within Japanese society. In Western society, we have more organic solidarity, and I believe that in the new society, in what the Western society is moving to.
My question focus is in Japan. Before World War II, we have many society. Okay, many solidarity existed in Japan, but now is much more individual. They do not communicate each other at local community, and separated. And family is very small family instead of big family. So it means losing year by year less solidarity in Japan. So glue is we try to stick into each other people, get more opportunity to communicate each other. So this is what I'm talking about. Are you talking about this glue means we try to stick into the other people, more sharing experience, sharing knowledge or something?
What I'm saying is that in Western societies we see that the glue.
This is what you want to say?
What I want to say is that actually the glue is getting less and less. Churches are empty. Culture has become more. Subcultures become more important than the general, mechanical glue. Unions are losing influence. So there is less and less glue in society. So the question here is the glue that we have in our society still strong enough to keep our society together? And that I would like to put against engagement and disengagement.
My simple question is, I'm living in condominium, next door people we don't know who they are. It's very difficult. Okay, one floor condominium, 20 families living there, get together, but we don't know each other. And 2 decades ago, it's different. We try to communicate each other, but now is one generation later. It's different. Now current generation, they don't communicate each other. And they do not have opportunity to not know each other. This is, I think, not mechanical solidarity, organic solidarity, nothing. And very much individual is in Japanese society now. And that's a big problem for Japanese for this engagement, right?
To some extent.
This is what you want to say?
No. Not necessarily. I see a disengagement in Japan too, relative to what it was. But if I compare the solidarity in Japan, the fact that nobody talks over his telephone in the train, that people do not vandalize public property, that there is very little petty crime, to me is an indication that there is still a lot of solidarity within society, because we don't want to trouble our next man. We feel that we are part of the system, therefore we don't want to pollute the system. We feel that society is important for us to survive. So I believe that actually Japanese society still has a lot of solidarity. If I compare it, for example, in the Netherlands, where people are talking on the train, where they're making lots of noise, where they are stealing money from each other, where they are putting spray paint on the walls everywhere because they feel like it. It's not. They don't feel that they're polluting something that belongs to them. That it belongs to other people, and they just want to do it because they feel free. They are not part of society. So I feel much more disengagement in Western society as I feel in Japanese society.
Okay, my condominium, 5,000 people live in 1 building. 5,000 people live in 1 building. Okay? And all those people, the same floor, maybe get in the join the elevator, we're going to say good morning, hello, that's all. But if you go to speak out, more privately talk, they will go really with you. They are very polite people, tell the truth, not alienated people. They are very friendly. They want to talk, but nobody wants to speak out each other. This is the current Japanese, maybe everywhere the same similar situation. So problem. That disengagement occurs from those reasons, I believe. Right? And this is serious, but I don't know why Japanese people is moving toward more isolation each other. This is, I think, you said glue. Is maybe we try to looking for more opportunity to how to glue people each other. Right? So this is my question. And I don't understand mechanical solidarity or organic solidarity, whatever, but I understand glue. With Japanese people recently, we don't have glue. We don't have glue.
Are you going or are you coming? You're going.
Are you going?
Actually, it's not really clear anymore. In your case, it's like a circle, right? The circle never stops or ends anywhere.
I'm going.
Stops it.
You're going? Really? Okay, this is okay. And what is my question is.
I think actually don't forget about this whole solidarity, because I think it's important for the second half of my presentation.
Do you understand why? My question is the Japanese current individualistic environment. This is I have some very much difficulty we have.
I think because we in Japanese society, as in many Western societies, we don't really recognize that we need each other anymore.
Same, in your country.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we
Why?
in Japan we don't have a greeting each other, even if they're next door.
But if you go to the countryside, everybody says hello and waves and.
Yeah. This is true. The same as before.
It's a smaller society. People are more dependent on each other.
Big city. I don't know why. This is a 2 decades, 3 decades, 1 generation later changed.
But if you go to a company, people say good morning and.
Yeah. But downtown here, no.
Because you have to say hello to millions of people every day.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, if you try to say hello to everybody that you meet around you, maybe it's hard to say hello to everyone. If you get on a train and say hello to everybody, it will take I don't know how many hours it will take. So maybe there are too many people, so that it's hard to.
But there were many people in Tokyo 40, 50 years ago. How was it then? People still said hello.
40 years ago? Oh, of course, yes, my house, and around people, everybody said greetings and talking in private talk. And 40 years ago, yes, we did. And the condominium, also the same floor, or the upper floor, lower floor, said greetings every day. and wives and household talking with each other. But what they know. In Tokyo, yes. For the other. I don't know how come they changed it.
I hear the same story from my parents because I was little, like, so that I can talk to everybody around me and like neighbors. But I was little bit.
Big city the same. Big city the same. But I don't know how come they disappear kind of culture. So this is I think very interesting what you do your presentation.
That is the huge topics of my contents of my lecture. Why we lost our such kind of connection, engagement between each other, and bottom line is as you know, the Japanese community economics grows along with the history. We experienced the huge war, for example, World War I, World War II, and between that we also had the Chosen War, and going back to the Edo, at the end of the Edo era, and also major restoration. At that moment, Japan decided to change from old society to a kind of advanced, westernized, modernized society or countries by importing technology from outside. And at that moment, we did that movement so drastically. As a result of that, we lost our fundamental learning about humanity, and on the other hand, we finally get technologies to grow the economics by the industrialization. So, but that movement was too extreme and drastic. So that is one first turning point. And
is it the same as what we saw in Western society, where basically the pre-industrial era has a lot of mechanical solidarity because everybody is engaged more or less in doing the same things. You have, of course, teachers, you have people, priests, and you have laborers, but basically there's a lot of mechanical solidarity. Then through the division of labor you create difficulty. People don't know what people are doing in their other jobs. They're basically, they're function on their own, but still depend on each other.
yeah, same idea is, I think, same. Our situation is the same. And also, as you know, the most important factors for the industrialization, which was spotted by the science. Several factors which is important for the industrialization is efficiency, of course it is a very good criteria to make something very precise or make many things in a very short time, and it is it works very much for the making a product. But as a result of that, soon most of the business people try to adapt that kind of idea to the communication of the human. And still, right now, the president of the many companies believe that they can make the efficient organization by teaching them in a scientific way based on the concept of the science. But actually, why we can communicate each other is based on the communication or local kind of local communities, which means we grow up together from a very small younghood to the adult. Actually, at the very, very beginning period of the Showa or Meiji, we still had a very tight communities. And the reason why we Japanese the company could achieve such a miracle, drastic economic growth, was actually based on the power of the communities. But at that moment, not all the business people that didn't understand it. But soon, recently, some people realized that the reason why we did that kind of a miracle economic growth is because of the power of the communities. But now we already lost our community already. Everybody separated, like in Tokyo, as Undo-san explained just now. The company tried to move the families, or now even they try to move the individual to everywhere, distribute all over the Japan. As a result of that, the company destroyed our communities. So now, as you know, in Tokyo, most of the residents are local people actually. Most of the people came from other areas. So, and that kind of situation happens everywhere all over the Japan. So the result of that, we lost the very, very essential, important, very precious communities. And instead of the industrialization and economic growth, but now we are saturated. Now we're all of that. We noticed that the reason why, so that now some the chair CEO of the company tried to get back the community inside to their company in an artificial way. And that is also another topic which I explained in my lectures.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, the disengagement process put a bum under the innovation power of Japan, not only society but also the competitiveness of Japan. So the glue, even in Japan, no longer sticks. Even though if I compare Japan with a lot of European and American society, then I see much more cohesion in this society than I see.
So my question is different from your question. You be garden. So what are you going to do?
Let's move on.
Yeah. So my question is, be garden. What are you going to do it for?
What is the answer to this kind of cohesion? How can we keep societies together? I think that's an interesting question for the discussion. A bunch of very short snippets of video to give you an idea of the clue: Christianity versus Islam, locals versus immigrants.
Worship, the Islamic community there is burgeoning, and as Aussie's Polly Boyko reports, some Muslim groups are doing all they can to counter fears the rapid growth is a challenge to British tradition. It's an infectious video that's gone viral in a matter of days. The only difference between it and Pharrell Williams' original is that the people dancing are British Muslims. Its creators say that they're promoting a message that UK Muslims are a diverse, cosmopolitan, and above all, happy lot. And why shouldn't they be? Islam is the fastest growing religion in the UK. New analysis of census figures even suggests that it could become the country's dominant religion in as little as 10 years' time. The number of Muslims in the UK has doubled in the past decade, with Mohammed now the most popular name for baby boys in London.
The average age for the British Muslim community is around 26. So the British Muslim population is incredibly young, and you have this energy, this vibrancy, this sizzling, crackling energy.
In many ways, the UK is a trailblazer. It's set to become the first non-Muslim country to launch a financial bond that can be bought by Islamic investors, while the Law Society recently issued guidelines for drafting Sharia wills, citing rising demand. Unlike the viral popularity of Islam, the new analysis of latest census figures by the Office for National Statistics shows that the Church of England is declining 50% faster than was previously thought. The country's ageing Christian demographic means that its official religion has experienced a loss of more than 4 million worshippers since 2001.
The decline of churches in the UK is long term. It just happens to be now approaching really rock bottom. So 95% of people don't attend a church on an average Sunday. Christian worship in churches is already the concern of a tiny minority of people.
The figures have even motivated the Prime Minister, David Cameron, to attempt to shore up the institution's foundations, calling on Christians to be more evangelical about their faith and advertising what he called the healing power of the church. It's tradition to put on passion plays on Easter Friday.
So what we see here in the UK, what's happening is that the Muslim community is young, rapidly growing, and churches are rapidly declining in attendance and significance in Western society. So we see less glue within the church, the traditional society, and more glue within the Muslim society. So if we have more immigrants, what does it mean for the glue within?
今度面接する方の履歴書をお持ちしました。ありがとう。失礼します。
In Frankfurt, 2 out of 3 children under 5 years old have a migrant background. In the early 1960s, we brought the guest workers to Germany. Now, they're living with us. We lied to ourselves for a while. We said they won't stay long, one day they'll be gone. But this is not the case. Of course, the multicultural approach, living side by side and being happy with each other, this approach has failed utterly. That is why integration is so important. Those who want to participate in our society must not only comply with the law and follow the constitution, but above all must learn our language. They must know German. It must be given absolute value. This means that the demand for integration is one of our main tasks for the near future.
So what Merkel is saying is that basically immigrants, as they came into German society, they formed their own group. And as a multicultural society, there should be multiple cultures that are engaging and binding together based on the organical solidarity. But unfortunately, they did not manage to establish relationship with these other groups. The multicultural approach, which is a policy of Western countries like Germany and the Netherlands, who try to give place into society by creating their own culture and hoping that they would actually integrate into society, is failed because the language skills. There are a lot of immigrants in Turkey, or in Germany, that do not speak German. There are a lot of Turkish immigrants, for example. I mean, 25% of the immigrants the Turkish immigrant in Turkey currently has a German passport, people do not identify themselves with that society. So if you do not identify with that society, you cannot be a full member of that society. So you see a disintegrated group here, a separate group, and that is a potential threat to German society, not only for the immigrants, but also for German society. So the policies have failed, and Merkel clearly identifies that they have a group in society that is not, in their country, that is not actually an active part of their society. This is Belgium.
Militant Islam appears to be spreading its influence to more and more European towns and cities. Here in Brussels, a Muslim woman journalist, using her veil as a disguise, infiltrated the Muslim community and found so many radicalized young people, men and women, ready to use violence in their cause. Well, the book the journalist Hind Frye has written, which is called Undercover in Little Morocco, has shocked Belgium to the core. We went out to some of the same areas to take a look for ourselves.
This is Hind Frye, a 30-year-old journalist. Her parents come from Morocco, but she considers herself a Belgian through and through. She was born and raised in a small Flemish town, where she also went to school and had her first job. Hind speaks fluent Arabic and has written much about the lives of Muslims in what is called the Dar al-Harb, the non-Islamic world. Her recent book about the rise of Muslim extremism in Belgium has attracted a great deal of attention. Her theory is that young Muslims of both sexes, between 15 and 25 years of age, are becoming increasingly radicalized. They reject Western values. Even their parents are alarmed.
These parents often say, I see my son or even my daughter becoming so radicalized. I don't understand it.
Frey, he says Muslim extremism is a phenomenon of youth, and it is increasingly appealing to women.
I spoke with several women, radical Muslimas, whose highest ideal is to marry a Muslim warrior. We call these women jihad brides.
Here in the Molenbeek district of Brussels, more than a third of the residents are Muslims from North Africa. Hind spent 2 months living and researching here, undercover, posing as a sociology student, in order to learn more about Islamist extremism. On market day, the streets are full of people. Many stop to chat. The mood seems friendly and pleasant, but it's obvious that the police presence has been increasing. The authorities are aware of a rising potential for violence in the area. Suddenly, we're told we're unwelcome. This man tells us to stop filming, warning us in no uncertain terms that he'll get violent if we don't get out of here right away. The bystanders are also upset. We move on in an attempt to defuse the situation. But the man follows us, and a short while later, we have another run-in with him. He tells us to take away the camera. He tells us we have no rights and can only film if he allows it. Belgian laws do not interest him. The man is confident that it is he who controls the neighborhood. Molenbeek's police station is located hardly 100 meters away. Many police officers are afraid that the state no longer wields authority here, at least not the sole authority. They know that Islamists view Molenbeek as subject only to Muslim law. Many of the older men despair and call these young people a lost generation. But no one wants to say it on camera. It's too dangerous to get into a fight with them. These men are arguing the rules of coexistence. Our camera is a provocation. Its mere presence seems to call into question who makes the rules here. With much effort, 5 police officers are able to calm everybody down. They know the situation in the area is very tense, but they're not supposed to say it out loud. Hind Frye is trying to break this taboo. She wants to stop the growing influence of the radical Islamists. It's a problem which has gone beyond just a few cities.
This is no longer just a phenomenon in cities. It's long since reached rural areas, and not just in Europe, but worldwide. It's getting worse all the time. More and more young people in small towns, even in farming villages, are being infected by these extremist ideas.
Hind believes the Arabic language media play a major role. They can be received via satellite even in the smallest hamlets. In the propaganda they broadcast, religion is not a private matter. All of life is being Islamized, says Hind. For her, religion is a private matter and no substitute for politics. She thinks Muslim women should be able to wear headscarves in the mosque, but not on the street.
Okay. So what we see is that because basically this was not successful, the immigrants that came into Western society did not integrate very well through this organic solidarity. But a new generation came up, and basically a new generation who grew up in this society. This new generation was supposed to be actually make a closer connection, but this new generation actually did not succeed to grow close ties with their parents because basically they were somewhere in between their new society, where they went to school, where they learned norms and values which were not shared at home, because the parents didn't understand the freedoms that children who grew up in Western society have, and did not approve of that. So basically they were rejected at home, but also their new society, because they were immigrants, they had different backgrounds. At home they spoke their mother tongue, so Turkish, Moroccan, and which led to well, basically a disadvantage for them to succeed in school. So they were also they were experiencing more difficulties in the new society as well. So what happened actually is that they got even further out of that society, and they created their own society, and they were looking for glue, new glue, and they found that in Islam. Islam that is much more radical than what their parents believe in. And basically they try to create their own area. What we saw here in Molenbeek in Brussels is basically they create their own society. They don't adhere to the Belgian society, to the Belgian laws, and they say, okay, we decide what's happening here, and we decide the rules here. So we see a very strong disengagement, especially among the second generation immigrants.
So it was sort of the answer to your question. In the Netherlands, you said there are more people in the second generation who's that
disengaged.
That's part of the reason.
Yeah, stronger disengagement, because they basically they fall between two societies.
So
yeah.
This is what's happening in the second generation.
Yeah. Yes.
Happening in Europe.
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Because basically the second generation do not subscribe to the moderate form of Islam. Like their parents came to Europe to work, to make money, to make more money than they would make at home. Their objective was clear, just to make money to provide for their families, and then maybe once you retire, go back to your home country, which did not happen. And they got children, and the children grew up. They spoke Turkish, Moroccan at home, because we had a multicultural society. So the parents didn't actually learn Dutch, for example. They don't speak Dutch at home, so they speak Turkish, Moroccan at home. The parents did not change their cultural habits to Dutch habits. So it was basically they grew up in Turkey at home, and then they were supposed to function as Dutch children in the Dutch schools. But having grown up in a different culture with different language, they had more difficulty to find their way in the Dutch education system. So they also had more difficulties to actually succeed in the education system. So the school results and the norms and values they were taught at home did not apply in Dutch culture. So there was little understanding between the second generation immigrants and the local Dutch society. They were not treated as full members of Dutch society. They were treated as Moroccan children or Turkish children.
Even in the school, they are alienated?
Yes.
I think as Merkel said, okay, language is a first priority to assimilation. But this is not true. Language cannot supersede culture. So second generation is every country.
We have an integration program when you come to the Netherlands where there are basically two courses you need to take: cultural lessons and language lessons. Both.
Okay, this is true. But cultural lessons is very difficult to give them education.
Exactly.
Very difficult.
It can only create some kind of understanding about our cultural heritage,
Yeah.
but not.
Because I recognize Japanese is they failed completely their education in the past 70 years. We lost a lot of portion of mental education in the past after 70 years. This is almost difficult to recover our first educational system. Almost difficult, especially for the just modern kind of teaching kind of sort of content disappeared already. It's very, very difficult. Our original culture, like just former your presentation mentioned kind of just people isolated, which is very difficult. But behind the scene, something else we have before. But this is very difficult to recover.
Yep.
This kind of culture we have before 70 years ago. It's the same thing happening in Dutch. And even if you want to try to do education for second generation, and they cannot catch up with the Dutch culture. This is a big issue. They try to back to the Dutch culture, Muslim culture, because they do not understand Dutch culture.
But not the same culture as their parents. They're looking for more clearer answers, for more faith, more hope, because they are struggling much more than their parents.
Oh, this is very simple. Because of just Christianity deceiving Christianity. And I think it's mental culture is most important. But the school do not teach mental culture. They're just Dutch history, mathematics, and chemical. It doesn't matter for that kind of things they can study. But most important is Dutch spiritual culture. What was that? This is, do you believe God? These sort of things is the basic. They should study that. But unfortunately, they believe in Muslim God. So this is fundamentally, they do not understand what's for, what you like. This is back to the basics they need to study. What is democracy? They do not study. School does not teach them what is democracy.
But you also need to understand that this is our system, and it's not their system because they don't feel they're part of it. They don't feel they're full members of our society. So basically, this is everything that we try to teach them is what we try to put on them. We are not trying to engage with them. We are trying to impose some kind of cultural values on them. We are not really trying to understand and learn what is bothering those people. So integration is not something that needs to come from immigrants alone. It also needs to come from the hosts. And I think that's where we're dropping the ball in our whole immigration debate. The whole discussion is about how immigrants should adopt to our values, but we are not doing anything to actually adjust our values to embrace the second generation immigrants into our society.
Do you know the Japanese before World War II, we had educational fundamentals, imperial educational script. Imperial educational script we had before World War II. This is the fundamental of how to communicate with parents, the friend, and your boss, and so forth. But Japanese is discarded. And recently I showed this sentence to the economist, okay, journalist, chief journalist. she said, oh, some basic like this is you should not do this because he's just reading on the last sentence. Last sentence is we need to enforce our imperial society, the influence of the world. This kind of last sentence he denied. But almost 95% of sentences, very good educational message we have. But because we are Japanese discussed everything like that, it's the same thing in Dutch. Dutch is never teaching what the difference is among democracy and Islam God. Okay, they never teach what is the Islam.
That's not true. Actually, we do, but not all
Do you?
schools. Good schools, yeah, good schools teach that. Yeah, we have
the Islam God and democracy.
we have a religious education.
What the difference among those and did you discuss all those things?
Yes.
Oh, that's so. If they do not understand, young people need to be deportation in Dutch.
That's impossible. These children grew up with the Dutch passport.
This is most important. This is called some problem is real and everything else.
Yeah, like
Going
here.
back to this case, I feel like the first generation of the immigrants is very important. If they wish to be part of the society that they're integrated into,
Yes.
that will make the difference into the second generation. Because if the first generation is, very acceptable to the country, the culture of the country they're immigrating to, then the second generation can feel home.
So that's where we dropped the ball, exactly. What happened is that the whole immigration process was something that was born out of economic necessity. So companies were the ones who invited people to come to work. And it's a company, therefore, they didn't have any interest in their religious beliefs or whatever. They just provided them with money and, well, maybe they helped them to find a place to live. But that's it. There was no policy, nothing. So basically, these people were there and they went to work in the morning, they worked all day, they came home and they did whatever they were doing. And we said, okay, this is nice. We have these people with different cultural backgrounds, they can live all side by side and we shine on each other like a rainbow. We have a rainbow society. But basically, we were just like a rainbow, the colors next to each other without actually blending into each other. We were not interested in them. They were not interested in us. They were interested in making money. So this is what America was talking about. Our multiculturalism is basically, it's not a policy. It's basically an ignorance. It's negligence of the people that live next to us, that are supposed to be part of our society, but are not. So we could brand that as a policy, but basically it was complete ignorance. We let people do whatever they wanted to do, but that led them not to become part of our society.
But creating their own society.
Creating their own society. And that created a lot of problems in the second generation because they were born and raised into a country where the parents, the home situation was completely foreign. So,
yeah, so this is, I think, we need to give them more spiritual or mental education instead of just the current educational system. Otherwise, they try to back to the Muslim world, halal food, or some religious customs, attitude, never disappear.
yep.
It's very difficult to give them.
But it doesn't matter because I think if it's not so much radical Islam that is attractive. I don't believe that. It's basically whatever sets young people aside from their home country that they want to reject. They don't feel they're part of that system. They're looking for a new identity and they find an answer in radical Islam. But it could also be in Belgian chocolate, for example. It doesn't matter as long as it sets them aside. They try to find a new identity which is clearly separate from the host country's identity. And it has to be as strong as possible, as clear as possible, that they are not part of us, and we better believe it.
Okay, no problem with they have their own identity, whatever. The problem is radical people, just only the 10% of total Islam.
Sure.
But just only 10% is a problem.
Yeah.
So we need to kind of different treatment for those people.
It's like
otherwise, always we have a lot of problems with Germany and that and everywhere. Right? We need to more okay, just with whatever you do. Okay, this is freedom of speech, freedom of everything, whatever. But also we need to have law enforcement.
Yes.
Both sides. Okay?
But we do.
You are free, but you are not free for those areas. More harsh treatment we try to do for them. Otherwise, silent seeker is everything, not settled down.
But Umo-san, unfortunately, harsh treatment, strong laws, strong law enforcement is the same as our war on drugs. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
you were talking this morning about.
I understand. This is
helping.
This is kind of more harsh treatment, like more closer to Hitler. Okay, Hitler, right? Also Italian. And democracy and also authoritarianism. But I'm talking about this is in the middle. How to take in concept of balances, right? And in some cases, it's kind of situation like one night, year Eve, we had climbed 650 in Kerun, in Germany. 650. This is not our incident happened last year.
Yeah.
And this will going to happen again.
Okay, so if you're going to crack down on that, that's going to eradicate the symptoms, but not the cause. If you want to solve this, you need to look at the cause and look at, okay, why does this happen? Why do people don't feel part of our society? And stronger punishment is usually not the solution. So you need to look at the root cause of things in order to make a change.
Okay. What I'm talking about this is we try to. I'm not talking about call them, put in jail. Jail immediately full. This sort of people put in jail because they don't have capacity. Right? So I'm talking deportation. And we're going to give them caution. If you're going to do this is deportation, even if second generation, this kind of so and so.
But deportation to where? They cannot deport them to Morocco.
Anyway,
because they don't even have a Moroccan passport.
Congo.
No, Congo doesn't want them.
Okay, question. Compared to the situation in the United States, so far, we also had some influence. And even, is it just so serious in the situation in Europe? How can you compare?
United States versus Europe? I think there's one thing that the United States does a lot better than Europe, and that is the marketing. Marketing, yeah. I think in Europe, in general, we are not very good at marketing ourselves for immigrants. People in the Netherlands are not particularly proud of their country. They're not really eager to live there. There's a lot of criticism. So if we do not really appreciate our country, how can we expect people who come to our country to love that country? Now, in the United States, they go to school, they raise the flag, they do the anthem thing, and everybody wants to be American and live the American dream. So I think there is more glue, like cultural glue within American society that is appealing also to immigrants. Everybody wants to become an American. If you go to Africa, you talk with Africans, everybody wants to go to America. Nobody's that much interested to become German or something. Yeah, Germany is a good country, they have good income. So pragmatically, but if you talk about America, everybody wants to go to California and become American. So I think America is, in that sense, better equipped to absorb immigrants. But on the same side, once they are there, it's a very much segregated nation, just like a lot of...
Well, I mean, in the case of America, case is different compared to Europe. Europe is, the major problem is Islam. America, not so many Islam coming to the States. And the Mexican, South American people coming to the United States, not so much problem, just only poverty.
But maybe one of the reasons for that is that America offers an identity, which is to be American. But Europe doesn't offer an identity.
Might be. The more strong identity they have. America is originally they just came from, everybody come from overseas. So they have allowance to accept the sort of alien people get in the country because everybody is the same. That meaning 300 years they just everybody come from overseas to America. So they have sort of allowances. But you know, most problem is Islam. America to Islam people, you know, so many people get into the United States. Many people came, Mexican people or South American people try to get in the States. So not so much different culture. Like consider for Miami, Florida, their national common language is Spanish. America is allowed to speak common language Spanish. You go to Los Angeles, and many people speak Spanish. They can speak English. And just the southern end of the California is what's the name of the San Diego?
New Mexico.
Okay, if you go to San Diego, this is Mexico, not America, right? It's
Right,
go to
what's
restaurant,
Mexico?
they can speak English.
So it's different whether or not it's Islam or Mexican, but we might see something in common. That immigrants is causing the crime rate has been increasing by accepting some immigrants of that. But the marketing for the American marketing for immigrants coming to the U.S. has been successful.
I think it's much better.
If it's the case.
Yeah.
And there might be some reason why the European can have the kind of the incentive or the mind to promote the country itself. Because it sounds like to me their discussion and eyes is inward, is looking inside in Europe. So discussion is
but we are ourselves
looking inside.
We are
American is a little bit different, it's outward. So the countries, some aspect the United States is considered to be going down, but still they are in a strong position.
They are the sole superpower in the world.
Yeah, yes. But enjoying
we are lost glory. We are much more skeptical, and we ourselves are going through a transition period where we are actually giving up national autonomy to be part of this European dream.
So so it looks like the eyes and the mind in Europe is going inside. It's looking inside and discussion internally.
But you must be careful of how many white people in the States, less than 100 million, 200 million, not white people. So which is different, completely different from European countries. And Dutch and UK is almost white people. But America is white people, just only 30% already. So this is different. So Japanese people believe American people, white people. No, not anymore. If you go to Los Angeles, none of the white people there. Los Angeles airport. Everybody brown. It's not white people. So you just consider about 50, 60 years ago, those people did not exist, right? So for 100 years, many majority of people come from overseas. So they are very more acceptable for foreigners. So no problem. But Islam is not so many there. So Islam is completely different compared with democratic countries. This is Islamic people is different. And consider how many population in the global Islam is. Islam world is different from us. So, but Asian Islam is different. Asian Islam is very mild, soft. And Middle East is very strong. Right? So Middle East Islam going to Europe. That's a core problem. Indonesia, Malaysian people are going to stay, no problem at all.
I actually, Islam itself is maybe a problem, but Islam as it is being controlled, dominated in the Middle East, I think is more about power than about religion.
What do you mean?
About power.
Power?
Yeah, I think that we are it's way too easy to look at Islam and say, well, this is the root of division between us and them, but it's basically about power, about it's not only about the faith, it's also about, okay, I want to be part of something else, a force that is strong, where I can dedicate myself to.
You mean the spirit, right?
Yeah, that is basically, that's giving us the opportunity to make a difference. A lot of people, when they are in their own group, a minority, not part of any of these groups, feel powerless. Now, subscribing to Islam, Islam recruiting these kinds of youth to become warriors for them, it gives them a purpose, but it also gives them power. And I think that the power element is much more appealing than the actual religious element. So I think it's Islam here is not the religious element of Islam is not so strong as the fact that it gives Western youth the opportunity to make a difference, to get a gun, to get a purpose, something that unites them, to gives them something much bigger than themselves, and enables them to fight, to stand up against their local society.
I don't understand what I understand power.
It's about power. It's not so much about religion. I think it's about power, about being part of something bigger than yourself. If you are part of a small group that's not accepted here or anywhere in your society, and you feel angry, you feel that you want to reject this. Okay, if you don't want
confident?
Give them confidence. Give them empowers them to stand up against their society that rejects them, and maybe take up weapons, give them some kind of strength and purpose to rebel. I don't think that the attraction of the Islam as a religion is as strong as the attraction of a movement that gives them much more power, much more strength to stand up against their local society. So I don't think that the Islam itself is the problem. The problem is that they find something that empowers them to stand up in society. We cannot do so much against, or we should not focus too much on Islam. We should focus on the fact that people disengage from our society.
Islam is usually very rare in the democratic country, usually also Italian. Democratic country is just only Indonesia. The other countries are also authoritarian. Saudi Arabia and Iran, and they are authoritarian. So what you say, like a very big power and a very strong law, and strict control of the society, and the people living there are not free, like Turkey. And this is difficult, right? So this is what you want to say?
No. What I want to say is that basically it's. I don't think that people really find all the answers in a spiritual way that they get from the religion, that they get from the Islam. I think they find much more benefit.
Oh, you mean the confidence of religion?
The confidence of religion, but actually the power of being a member of a young, vibrant, growing movement that enables them, that empowers them to stand up against a society that they don't fit into. Western society.
This came from religion.
It comes from religion, but basically it's also power. There is money, there is support, there is something
what
that
I'm
unites.
saying, Muslim is in history. Always they just not like a democracy, not make consensus. They not on any kind of consensus. They just straightly force them to do that. It's Islam.
But I think, Unu-san, if it would not have been Islam, but if it would have, let's say, it would have been a labor union, a global labor union that would bind them together, they would have been just as attractive. They would have attracted these. I'm just saying that.
Are you talking about socialistic attitude?
Yes, I'm saying that basically people need a cause, need to be part of something bigger.
Oh, okay.
And in this case, it's a religion, but it could be a labor union. It could be like the movement against capitalism during the first half of the
against democracy, like Communist Party or authoritarian or Islam. All those is a very pushing power.
Exactly, because there are people behind the scenes that help them to radicalize, to become soldiers of their cause. And for youth that do not feel they're part of society, are very susceptible to this kind of cause. So we are now focusing very much on Islam, but I think Islam is not a problem.
Wait a minute, but globally, this is like a religion or a communist party's activity.
Yeah.
They try to push in their power.
Yeah.
This is the same.
Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, but in Europe is not select of communist,
No.
select of the Muslim religion.
Yeah, but so, sure, it's a Muslim religion, but the attraction is not so much the religious part as it is the power part.
Yeah, I'm talking about Eisenhower, 1970s, tried to avoid communist country in peace. So they tried to war against communist country. The same thing happened in Europe, war against Islam country. Islam countries, they never compromise. Okay, so what I'm talking about, we try to protect democracy, like the same as Eisenhower did in 1970 in Asia Pacific. The same. Europe, if you try to protect your country as democracy, we need to against Islam religion. This is the only way. But I'm telling you, not everybody kick them out, but only the radical people. So this is based on your presentation in the past. That's my opinion. No way. You know, these American people just against communist country. The same as Europe is against Muslim religious people, radical people. That's only the way to. The asylum seekers, we can accept several hundred million people to Europe, but accept radical people. This is the only way to solve this issue. On the European people try to keep them all over.
But it's much more likely.
It's impossible, huh?
It's much more likely, Uno-san, that's not the people who are now coming to Europe who will cause the problem. It's the children of those people who are not even born yet who might cause a problem if we don't absorb these people into our society. And maybe it will not be because they adhere to Islam, but they might adhere to communism or to any new political movement that
we don't need to recognize religion. Just we try to avoid real people. Real is not kind of freedom. They said in the video, they said, whatever doing, this is freedom, this country. This is wrong. Like you don't show that the Sharia patrol in London. The guy said, okay, this country is freedom of doing everything. Oh, wait a minute, not everything freedom. Just what's the misunderstanding? Wrongdoing, this is not freedom. They said, okay, this is the important message. She said, okay?
Yeah.
And the Islam guy said, oh, this is free for patrol and you should drink beer here and whatever. This is, she said, this is freedom, but also he additional talking about that. Whatever things this country is freedom, what the patrol here, these are freedom. She said, no, this is UK.
Shall I show it?
Yeah. Are you going to show it?
Yeah.
This is 3 or 4 times, 5 times already.
Do you feel that you are British?
Oh, this one.
I identify myself as a Muslim. If I was born in a stable, you know, I'm not going to be a horse. If I was born in Nazi Germany, I'm not going to be a Nazi. I mean, this is just an island I was born in.
Rumesa and Chowdhury both live in East London, which is home to one of the largest Muslim populations in the UK. In one part of town, Rumesa and his associates have set up so-called Sharia patrols to go out and discourage behavior that they deem un-Islamic. On this night, they stopped to talk to a couple of non-Muslim men who were in a park drinking beer, which is forbidden under Islam.
So it's reminded the community about staying safe. In this area, there's a lot of gambling that goes on, a lot of alcohol drinking, and it leads to a lot of problems. So we advise you, and we advise anyone you see to stay away from these things.
Get that prostitutes off our street! But the patrols are not always so friendly. Online clips give a very different picture. A woman in a short skirt is abused.
Vigilante! We don't care if you're appalled at all.
It's Great Britain.
We don't care. It's not so Great Britain.
A man the patrol thinks is gay is insulted.
Get out of here quicker then. You're dirty, mate. You're gay, mate. Get out of here, mate.
The night time it turns into a very ugly place.
Walking through London with Rumesa, you experience an alternate reality where there is no compromise and all conversations are one-sided.
Ultimately, I want to see every single woman in this country covered from head to toe. I want to see the hand of the thief cut. I want to see adulterers stoned to death. I want to see Sharia law in Europe, and I want to see it in America as well. I believe our patrols are a means to an end.
The only thing I would say is that in America and in the United Kingdom, we have a system, democracy, but it's a system that allows the people to choose what they want and allows people freedom.
So why can't I choose Sharia? When in Rome, overthrow Caesar and create Sharia.
In your home, you can do whatever you want.
But what about in the public? Why can't I tell you to cover up? Am I free to say that?
Because it would be outrageous.
So where's my freedom? Where's my freedom?
You can say it to me, but...
Okay, so cover up. Wear the hijab.
That's absurd.
The thought of Chowdhury's supporters taking the law into their own hands is deeply frightening to most British people. This is a group that believes the West is at war with Islam and that the invasions of Iraq and Afghanistan justify any kind of violence in response. The most shocking example of that logic was the gruesome and very public murder of British soldier Lee Rigby on a London street last year.
We have killed this man today is because Muslims are dying daily by British soldiers.
On that day, the man wielding the knife was a known associate of Chowdhury. Chowdhury has refused to condemn Rigby's murder, nor will he criticize ISIS for the beheading of American journalist James Foley and other Western hostages.
You know, I don't know the details about James Foley.
I know the details. Let me educate you because he was a friend of mine.
Sorry, I don't believe.
You don't believe me that James Foley was a
I don't
journalist?
believe any Western journalists, quite frankly. I believe you're liars until proven otherwise. But let me tell you something. The perspective of the Muslims of journalists, whether that be James Foley and others, is that they are the propaganda for the Western regime.
Have you formed an opinion for yourself?
I form my opinion on the basis of what the Muslims say, not on the basis of what you say.
I'm sensing a double standard here because essentially you're very quick to condemn acts of violence by the West, but you refuse to condemn any act of violence by your fellow Muslims.
No, I believe that there's a difference between the oppressed and oppressed.
So, complete disengagement of this group. They don't want to be part of society. They actually want to impose their norms and values in the society that they live in. So it's complete rejection of norms and values and disengagement.
I'm sorry, I try to continue.
It's really a pity.
Oh my God.
I really tried to finish this presentation, but...
Oh my God, we try to drink again.
I just feel the point, what is to be done is to notice that there must be those who pitch and catch. So pitch, who is sending as source, sending some radical immigrants to Europe, in Middle East. So we have to do something to get them moderate. So to remove the resource, the source of evil, something wrong. And also there must be the person who will catch the idea from Middle East. For example, the second generation born in Europe. So as you mentioned, maybe the necessary to give them some idea or something more attractive than taking the guns as something good for Europe. So because it's not exactly the same as the situation in the United States, but the United States started the country as a white country, and eventually they're transforming the mixed country because they might have seen some chance to accept the immigrants to get them more, get them grow up, get them more successful. Then what is the case for
This is not only about immigrants, though. This series on disengagement is also about disengagement of the poor, disengagement of the rich, disengagement of youth, which is part of this society. So the process of disengagement, of actually offering a place, a welcome place to different groups of society within that society, something that puts people together, is a potential source of disruption, of a collapse of Western society, because if people do no longer subscribe to that system, that means that destabilized society, which means that more security risks, more focused on internal stability than on external stability. So if we, as a Western society, do not manage to create this kind of synergy within our society, if we don't make it attractive, we don't offer a place where people feel at home and they can become full members, which is very difficult, for example, through the process of globalization and of some parts of our society become superfluous. If we do not address that issue, then there is a serious risk that Western society, as we know it today, might implode, and we could end up in a kind of civil war situation where different groups, disengaged groups, are competing with each other over control and who does what. So
while it may be difficult to feel the immigrants have some the proud in living in Europe, but it's rather better to let them feel unwillingness to do something wrong, to taking up to that. So just let them feeling they want to stay and living there.
Yeah. So they need to be part. You would not raise, or normal people would not raise their hand or their weapons against own family members, right? So only against strangers, the enemy, people who are faceless, who you do not engage with on a normal basis, who are a threat to your safety and well-being. Those are the people that you will fight against. This is what's happening within our own society. So it's not the enemy, not a different country, people who speak a different language or whatever. It's the same country. So if we don't manage to actually break the barriers between us and them, if we don't engage with immigrants from both sides, immigrants do not engage with us, we run the risk of completely destabilizing our society.
So there must be some agenda. So how we could give them the agenda to say not radicalized.
Yeah, but it's not only the immigrants. That's what I want to emphasize here. Like the immigrants, this is only the first part of the presentation, but it's also the Trump voters. They are also disengaging from politics. They don't subscribe to the Republicans and the Democrats. They don't believe in the systems in the solutions that have been provided by the system so far, and they choose a radical candidate like Trump. Who's okay. Well, anyway, I don't give a damn. I vote for Trump, but clearly he's a liar. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But it doesn't matter.
Okay, and one more.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because just next time is Kimoto 50 minutes.
Okay.
Not 2 hours. Okay, so next week.
Okay.
You have lots of
materials,
right?
yeah.
And you're going to add some more, right?
Yeah, I already did.
No, I think,
So the problem
I think okay. I give you one more issue to discuss. Because today is just my opinion. I told you, but you need to prepare some couple slides against